for this series is not parenting millennials. Alright? Because the truth is, Tyler's a millennial, right? So, yeah. Millennials really are those who are, the older millennials are becoming parents right now. But we're parenting in the age of millennials. And there's some truths that millennials have shaped so much of our culture. And our culture has shifted significantly from the culture you grew up in. Probably the culture you grew up in. The culture I grew up in. Cultures change. And it seems like culture change very rapidly right now. So we're going to play a little game. This is called Do You Remember? Do you remember a TV family whose husband and wife's names were Ward and June?
Yes.
Clear. No. Uh-huh. Ward and June Clear. Leave it to Beaver. How about Howard and Mary?
Yes.
Do you know?
The Fawns.
What was the sitcom?
Happy
Days. The Cunninghams. How about, there was this large family. He had
Brady Bunch.
3 of his own, and she had 3 of her own. The Brady Bunch.
Really fast.
Sorry.
We have a TV junkie among us. Good. I don't feel alone in this. How about Cliff and Claire?
Huxtable. Cosby's.
The Cosbys.
You know your stuff.
I do.
And then along came a couple, Al and Peggy.
Bundy. Married with Children.
The Bundys. That was kind of a different one. They were kind of the antithesis to Cliff and Claire and the Cosbys. And you had some shows that were older, 70s and 80s, Charles and Carolyn Ingalls.
Little House on the Prairie. My favorite.
Little House on the Prairie, yeah. And then there was a family called, they lived on their own mountain. The Waltons, yeah. Every night they go to bed, they would say goodnight to everybody in the house.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob, exactly.
We do that at home
But you can still watch all of these.
True. They are all
Not
still
like every
on
night,
today.
I've done that to you guys.
All of those family shows, they made a statement about family and what family was supposed to be like and how it was being interpreted and the difficulties and the struggles that were faced in the family with the kids and the choices that were being made. And then we kind of move into the 2000s. The age of the millennials. And we find some new families that really gain in popularity. Couple, Marge and Homer.
Simpson.
And then there's this one Family Guy. I've not really seen very much of it.
Family Guy?
It's very adult oriented. But let's be honest, it's adult oriented, but who probably watches it?
All the younger people.
All the younger people.
Stewie?
Here's the confession. Yeah.
Growing up, yeah.
Yeah.
My school was different.
And then you have families like the Kardashians, even though
We try not to.
we try not to.
Good call.
But you see, there's this big difference from Ward Cleaver, right? And the Kardashians. From the Huxtables and the Bundys. Family has been changing over time. And the thing is, probably one of the significant shifts or the significant influences in families are TVs. Because our kids growing up watching things that may not really represent the kind of values that you want to express as parents and grandparents and parents to be. But they become the things that begin to shape and influence what, this is how family is supposed to interact. You know, we live in a time when there's probably more dysfunction in families than ever before. Now understand, dysfunction has always been a part of families. Right? Even when the Cleavers were doing their thing, there was a lot of dysfunction. But nobody talked about it. And so it's not that dysfunction is new. You can go to the Old Testament, you can read in the Bible, and there's all these families, and there was lots of dysfunction. I mean, there were a couple of brothers, Jacob and Esau, you remember them? I mean, there's something to be said that I think you could define what was going on in that family as dysfunctional. A little bit. And so understand that the things that we face today, they're not necessarily new. This isn't, well, that's never happened before. Well, yeah, actually, ever since pretty much the creation of man, there's been these struggles and these dysfunctions, and it hasn't changed. So, we're going to look at some passages of Scriptures today. And we're going to start. I've written them all over there. So on that board, you will see. We're going to be in Deuteronomy 6, 1 through 9. That's going to be our focal passage. So if you want to turn there or turn your phone on and go there, you can. And then when we get to the end, we're going to look up the Proverbs passages together and kind of talk through those. One of the key things about parenting today, and I think it's one of those things that we lose sight of, is that as parents, soon-to-be parents, soon as relative, soon could be 20 years, and that's okay. That'd be soon enough. Already been parents, but now with grandchildren, because it's that influence, we're going to see it, is that we would begin to move that dependence that children have on us and help them shift that dependence from us to having a dependence on God. Okay? That really is our priority. And we'll find in Scripture that that is the priority. That's our directive as parents, regardless of the age that we're in. Regardless of the culture and the shifts in the culture around us. Our challenge as parents who love Jesus, who follow God, is to shift the dependence of our children on us, because when they're born, they're fully dependent on you, aren't they? I mean, they need everything. But then as they grow, they become a little less dependent, a little more independent. But at the end of the day, they still need us. In healthy relationships, in healthy parenting, we begin to raise them so that their dependence that has been so focused on us begins to move toward the God who really provides for us, the parents. And so then as parents beginning to help our children see that our reliance is on God. And we want you to understand your reliance needs to begin to be on God. So let's look at Deuteronomy 6, verses 1 and 2. First, it says, "These are the commands, decrees, and laws the Lord your God directed me to teach you to observe in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess, so that you, your children, and their children after them may fear the Lord your God as long as you live, by keeping all of his decrees and commands that I give you, and so that you may enjoy long life." Okay, let's do that one more time. "These are the commands, decrees, and laws the Lord your God directed me to teach you to observe in the land that you're crossing the Jordan to possess. So that" who? You, parents, adults. "So that you," who else? Your children. And who finally? Their children. Grandchildren. "So that you, your children, and their children," your grandchildren, "may may fear the Lord your God as long as you live, by keeping all his decrees and commands that I give you, and so that you may enjoy long life. All right? So here's this directive. First, that you love your God. That you, adults, that first and foremost, you love your God. In verses 4 and 5, it says this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. You ever heard that before? Yeah. Verse 4, that's the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Hebrew children, Hebrew families, all through history, that they have been quoting that verse like 3 times a day. They quote that verse. And so for us to say, you know what? We're directed to love God with all our what? All our heart. With all our what? All our soul. All our what? All our strength. And so that's to love God with all that we are. It doesn't say that you would love God a little bit. You know, teach your children, love the Lord your God a little bit. Love your Lord your God when it's convenient. Love the Lord your God when all of your life is together and everything's going well. Love the Lord your God when you have all that you need. No, it says love the Lord your God with all that you are. Now the struggle for us as parents is that we would begin to express that kind of love for our God. That they would see in us, that our children would see in us, that our grandchildren would see in us, that we love God with all of our hearts. I'll be honest with you, if we only love God on Sunday, and if we're in a traditional region, Sunday morning and Sunday night, and maybe we need to love God on Wednesday night because, you know, everybody's gathered there, and if you're not there, then they don't think you really love God. And so you've got to show up because the doors are open. And so if the only time that we really love God is when we're gathered together with God's people, and so, you know, it's time to go love God time. And that's what our children see, that this is the only time that we love God. Guess what? When will they love God? Sunday. Maybe. Maybe. It's really interesting. I've said it often, you know, and I talk about it in the realm of leadership. And there's a lot of pressure on parents in leadership. And we're going to get that. You know, number 2 is lead. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and jump down there so I don't get ahead of myself. Number 2, lead your family. These commandments that I give you today are to be up on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. That's a lot. You know, this whole God thing is just kind of infringing upon my space. It's way easier if I just have the Sunday thing going on. But if you're really going to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, Moses, who wrote Deuteronomy, he says, this is how you do it. The commands that I give you, they're to be upon your hearts. Those are the things you're supposed to think about, ponder, consider. Impress them on your children. Talk with your children about it. Illustrate it. Be an example of it. Talk about it when you sit at home, when you walk along the road or drive. You know, there's not a lot of walking going on anymore. When you drive down the road, when you lie down and when you get up. And I like this part. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Okay, that's just invasive right there. Let's be honest. That's just totally invasive. And what he's saying is, you never leave them. You don't go somewhere and say, I'm just going to leave those commands behind. Make them a part of who you are. You see, our children will become cultural Christians because we as parents and grandparents become cultural Christians. And they will do what we do. And so it puts a lot of pressure on us as parents. Because we have to lead. Lead your family. Don't tell your family. It's a lot easier to be a teller. But if we're going to lead, that means we're doing what we're asking them to do and showing them and being that illustration, that example. And the thing about leadership, this is the contrast. I don't know if dichotomy is the right word. Got to work on my words. The things that you do, parents, grandparents, in moderation, the things that you do in moderation, more than likely your children are going to do in excess. Especially if they're not necessarily good things. I'll be honest with you. I do not drink. Now, it's not because I have this strong conviction that beer is evil. The elixir of Satan. No, I don't believe that. You know, it's a beverage. You can have a beer and not get drunk. But I also know that when you lead, that if I drink one, those that I lead and those that I influence may say, oh, well, Ken can drink one, that must mean I can have two. Or maybe I can have 6. Or maybe I can have a case. Bag of case, let's just go to the cake. There's only one.
A beer.
One beer. It's a big one. And so what I do, though, in moderation, my children probably will do in excess.